Hello and welcome to the Etoft21sports Show for December 5th. How is everyone doing? My name is Eric. I'm the man behind Etoft21sports. We have an absolutely phenomenal show lined up for you today. My boy Reed is going to stop by. Reed and I are going to look back at Week 13, share our Week 14 bets. Plus, Gino will have his horse racing by the day from Woodbine. But before we jump into all that, I'd like to say thank you to the sponsor of the show, the good old Thrive betting app. If you're not using Thrive, you're really messing out. Go to the App Store, download the Thrive app, use the promo code ETOFT21 for a 100% deposit match. If you're watching on YouTube, link to that is in the description. Now let's go ahead. Let's see what our boy Gino has for us cooking over at Woodbine.
Best bet for this week's going to come on Thursday at Woodbine. Only a couple weeks of racing remain at Woodbine, then they'll have a few months off and start back up next year. We're going to take a look at race number 3 for our best bet. Always looking at DRF, Daily Racing Form, for the past performances. And I'm going to take a look at Ghostly Perfection in here. This is a horse I've been following for a little while, and she's a little quirky. She's not a fast starter, but she always closes very quickly, and they put the blinkers on her last time, maybe hoping that she would get a little bit more speed in her early. It was the same sort of thing where she was kind of out of it early on. She finished 5th. You watch the race again, though. The difference between 5th and 2nd that day was less than a length, so I think it was a deceiving kind of margin. Now, that was going 6 furlongs. All of her races have been either 6 or 6.5, and now she's going to get to stretch out a little bit and get to 7 furlongs here. I just think the extra distance is really going to help her. It won't impact her with those slow starts quite as much. She'll have a little bit more time to figure things out and come a closing. She's a nice juicy price of 12-1 on the morning line. If we can get anything over 6, I think that's fair value there. Best of luck on Thursday at Woodbine. Make sure to tune in each and every week for all of the great information from Eric. He'll give you everything you need to know about football, college, everything going on in the world of sports. Good luck.
Make sure you give my boy Gino a follow at It's Me, Gino B. I'm on his podcast every single Friday, talking NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball, you name it. I am there. Now let's welcome to the stage the man, the myth, the legend, former D3 great Reed. Reed, what's up, dude?
I'm doing well. My Longhorns got in the playoff, although probably at the expense of someone else. They got a little hosed, but doing well. It was a good Sunday morning to wake up to.
Is that a Hook 'em Horn shirt you are currently rocking right now, my friend?
It is, yeah. First time since I was in 3rd grade that they won the Big 12. So,
dude, I'm telling you,
man. They do against Washington.
I am sitting on them 25-1.
Can't run on that D line. Cannot run on that D line. Although Washington can throw, so I'm a little nervous, but we'll see.
Obviously, a little worried about the throwing. That's a big worry point. You mentioned the college football stuff. Obviously, a big thing going on, and this is a football show. We mainly focus on the NFL, but I'm sure some college football fans are watching. Let's touch on the college football situation. What were your thoughts about the semifinals and Florida State not making it?
Yeah, I felt a little bad because at first when I saw Bama in, my mind went to wow, Michigan Bama, that's going to be awesome, and was kind of pumped for like an hour, and then I was like, wait, and started. The more you think about it, the more ridiculous it is that they left Florida State out at 4. I mean, I know they didn't look great against Florida. That was that guy's first ever start in a rivalry game on the road. I think Alabama knows all about playing tight games on the road in a rivalry game. He wasn't even in that Louisville game, and they still won by double. They won by 10 points. I think to watch that game, you're like, yeah, the offense doesn't do anything. But then you watch that game, and you're like, oh yeah, the defense. There's NFL guys all over the place. They have Verse, Jackson on the D line. I just and the more it's sad with me, Bama is 12-1, and I understand they won the SEC, but they weren't going to leave. They weren't going to put Bama in over Texas because Texas beat Bama, but they didn't want to leave out the 12-1 SEC champion who went undefeated in the SEC. And I think, frankly, because there's not a 4-team playoff next year, they thought you know what, we can just hose Florida State and people will be upset for a week and then they'll probably not care. So I thought it was the more I thought about it, it's just ridiculous to go undefeated in a Power 5. And I know the ACC is not great, but they're the worst Power 5. So, yeah, I thought that was a not egregious, but it was definitely a misstep.
I agree 100%. Now, look, my 2 cents is this. To me, it's pretty cut and dry. You play who's in front of you. They won every game. They won a Power 5 conference title. They should be in. I know it sucks. Jordan Kravis got hurt, and that's the excuse they're using, but they did everything. They won. They beat everybody. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of hard. I look at it like that. I know they're going to be double-digit favorites. You mentioned it about the kid getting his first start. We don't know how good he's going to be. We really have no idea. This kid could be amazing. Remember when Brock Purdy came in to replace Jimmy Garoppolo and everyone said the 49ers were done? He took them to that NFC title.
Yeah, it's Florida State. You don't have, like, the backup quarterback isn't some scrub. You know what I mean? And then you have the guy that comes in the ACC championship, and he's a third-string freshman. He was out the first 6 weeks of the year because he had thumb surgery. He hyperextends his knee in the second game. They have him in a brace playing. I mean, they scored 16 points. Their third-string quarterback, who's 18, making his first start in the ACC championship, didn't look good. But that Rodemaker guy is going to be back by the semifinal because it's a concussion. He was a game-time decision this week. Why is that being discounted? You know, they beat a Florida team on the road they covered the spread. They beat what Vegas projected, and Bama's going on the road to Auburn and needs a prayer to escape, and you're it's a double standard.
Thanks for the reminders, Reed. I had Florida plus the 7 in the money line, and I had Auburn plus 500. So thanks for reminders on those, buddy. Thanks for pulling up the Band-Aid with the reminders. Yeah, dude, I agree with you, man. You know, that, like I said, and the thing is this, is I know everyone, the thing I hate about college football is it's going to change. You have rumors that the ACC and Big 12 are going to break off, start their own thing. The SEC and Big 10 may do the same thing. College football, as we know it, is done. There's going to be a lot of changes. I'm upset about that. But number two, I'm also upset that people don't see college football is basically we're just using old men's opinions on teams. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? And the best analogy I heard is if you work at the job, you do everything you're supposed to do, and then you get passed over for the job because someone's son wants the job instead. And I think that's kind of the analogy that kind of whatever, I'm spacing on the word, but reminds me of this situation is that Florida State did everything they had to do. They got screwed over. People think, Bama should be in there. Bama's resume is not that good. It's not that good at all. Not that good at all.
Who's the best team they beat outside of Georgia? LSU. Oh, what do they have in common? Florida State beat LSU. Florida State's defense had held LSU to less points than Bama, and Bama knocked out Jaden Daniels in the third quarter. I just think they didn't have the stomach to leave out the SEC. And I think it came down to that. Do you think if Georgia wins, Texas and Bama are out, they just leave Florida State at 4?
Well, I'm sorry, repeat that.
Sorry. Do you think if Georgia wins, do you think they throw Texas in over Florida State, or do you think they just leave Florida State at 4? You have 4 undefeated teams, and you're good.
I think that Texas would have been out.
Yeah, I agree too. And I was rooting for Georgia because I thought we needed Bama to lose because I thought they could jump us potentially. But yeah,
I love what you said. Us, like you're a member of the team, dude. I respect you for that. I respect you for that. Chime in. NA86. Do you think Brandon Staley will make it through the whole season with the Chargers?
Yeah, I don't think they'll fire him mid-season. I think they'll just probably can him by the end of the year, unless they have a real embarrassing loss.
It's week 14. You know what I mean? Like it's over. It's week 14. It's over. The way to the end. Yes, Bobby, I know. Bruto losing Circa last night. Thank you for the reminder. Those who don't know, I was alive in the Circa Survivor. Last night, I originally had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The last minute, I changed it to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And T-Law went down. And as soon as he went down, I was like, dude, I am alive to CJ Beathard in Circa Survivor Millions. I might as well just go to bed. And literally I went to bed. I just turned off the TV and I just went to bed. And then I woke up knowing I was going to get an L. Cool Kev. What is up, my friend? Yes, I know, long intro. I pressed the wrong button. That's my fault. It's not like I've done like freaking 75 of these by now. I pressed the wrong button. Stuff happens. I ate the lake. FSU. Yep. FSU did get robbed. And yes, dude, we are on Southern Utah tonight, plus the 24.5 against the Utes. And we're grinding it out hard in some college basketball tonight, Bobby. And I appreciate you for tailing that bet. Let's get some takeaways, dude. We're at week 13. Season's dwindling down. Really interesting to see what you have to say. Let's kick it off with you, Reed. What is your first takeaway, my friend?
Yeah, I understand the record, double-digit wins already, number one seed in the NFC. I don't see this Eagles team going back to the Super Bowl. I think their defense quietly has been very suspect recently. I mean, you look at ever since they shut down Miami pretty well, and ever since then, I'm not really sure what's happened. Letting up 31 to the Commanders, 406 yards to Dallas. Outgained by Kansas City. You need a Kelsey fumble on the 5 and an MVS drop, to hold them below 20. You're letting up 34 points, 500 yards in the rain to the Bills. Niners, I mean, we can get to that. Just hung 42 on you with 456 yards. It looked effortless. I don't know. It doesn't look like there's just something off about this team. They don't look like the same as last year. They've kind of, I can get to this later, but they've been, everyone was bagging on the Steelers for, they're 6-0 or they've won this many games or they've been outgained 8 games in a row. The Eagles haven't outgained anyone since they played Miami. They've been outgained 5 games in a row now. And they've played, the Commanders outgained them and then 4 good teams. So when they're stepping up in class, they're needing some things to happen and go their way to win. I don't know if it'll be sustainable in the playoffs, and the schedule doesn't get any easier this week with going on the road to Dallas. So
no, Eagles DBs.
I would agree.
Eagles DBs can't cover. My first takeaway: Jets quarterbacks are not the problem. Last week they were playing the Atlanta Falcons, who are allowing 107.8 yards per game rushing the ball. And you have Breece Hall only attempt 13 carries. And you have the 2 quarterbacks known as Trevor Siemian and Tim Boyle throw the ball a combined 38 times. What the literal hell are you doing? Nate Hackett is there. He's only there because he's friends with Aaron Rodgers. You look at the other quarterback play in the league. The Browns offense looked good with PJ Walker, who they just signed from the Bears practice squad, and then beat the San Francisco 49ers. DTR comes in, looked good. Then they get Jersey Joe Flacco off the streets, looked good against the Rams, and were right there in a position to win. You mentioned the Steelers. Kenny Pickett sucks. Kenny Pickett is awful and should not be a starting quarterback, but they have a winning record, and it looks like they could make the playoffs. You look at the Colts and what they're doing with Gardner Minshew, who I think is awful. That is all coaching. And there's no coaching from the offensive coordinator because you brought in Aaron Rodgers' best friend, Nathaniel Hackett. And then people talk about Robert Saleh. Saleh, to me, is the most overhyped coach in the NFL. I think he's god-awful. I think he is absolutely clueless on the sidelines. He is overmatched in every single game. And then let's talk about the front office. You have Breece Hall. You have Michael Carter, a good pass catching back, a good in between the tackles runner. Okay, you know what? we're going to draft the kid from Pitt. We're going to use a 4th-round pick on the kid from Pitt whose name I can't pronounce. Oh, yeah, you know what? Let's sign Dalvin Cook now because he's Aaron Rodgers' friend. You have 4 people in the backfield, and you only have 1 goddamn football. So you release Michael Carter. Carter went to the Cards. He looked explosive when he got run. He looked good against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are one of the better defenses in the league. This whole organization is completely clueless. Now next year, you want to run it back with Aaron Rodgers, 41, coming back from an Achilles tendon injury? What the heck are you thinking? And for everyone who's saying, oh, Zach Wilson hasn't performed, I have news for everybody. If Zach Wilson was on the Steelers, was on the Colts, was on the Browns, team with actual good coaching, guess what? They would be just as good, probably even better than what they are now. And people are saying, Zach, why don't you just come back and play? Because I don't know if you know this story. They approached Wilson. They're like, yeah. Why don't you come back? He was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to get hurt. So, I mean, and I don't blame him because they basically quit on him. So he's quitting on them. I completely get it. So I just think that the Jets' issues have nothing to do with the injury. I think they all have to do with the coaching and the lack of it.
Yeah, I would agree. And, obviously none of those quarterbacks are studs by any means, but you see teams do at least look competent one week here or there. It's tough to be, them in New England feels like every week are struggling to get to 10. And I'm a Bears fan. So, I've been there, but even the Bears aren't there at this point. And I just, bringing in Hackett to try to lure Rodgers, definitely it's probably a short-sighted decision after you literally just saw what he did in Denver. So
now, number 2, let's do it. What's your second takeaway, my friend?
All right. You touched on it a little bit, talking about Minshew, but I think coach of the year, people need to kind of start talking about this Shane Steichen guy in Indianapolis. Everywhere he's gone, he's ran an effective offense. Some people don't know Herbert is rookie year. Shane Steichen, OC. Jalen Hurts comes into the league, not a good passer. He was not a good passer in college. He came and developed, and now he was plays away from winning the Super Bowl last year. And now Richardson looked good to start the year. He goes down. You have Minshew throwing the ball to Pittman and Josh Downs. And Josh Downs, nice player. Pittman, nice player. They're not studs where, they're elevating Gardner Minshew. Zach Moss is averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Zach Moss. This team last year couldn't run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. They've had wins over the Ravens at the Ravens. Granted, kind of a rainy game, but still. They've beaten the Texans. I know they've kind of got a soft schedule, but this team last year was atrocious. I mean, they're the 4th pick, and the guy they used on it went down, and they're 7-5. They have remaining games of Bengals. I know Jake Browning looked really good last night, but I need to see a little more. Raiders, and I think the Steelers are always a winnable game because you're never going to get blown out by them. So I think Steichen, I wouldn't be shocked if this team's in the playoffs. I think Steichen just knows exactly what he's doing. He's proved it everywhere. Colts got a great one in him, and he should get a little more buzz for Coach of the Year.
So I talked about this last week. What about Stefanski, 28-1?
I would concur with that too. I think he's done a great job also. I just you see Gardner Minshew 7-5, and that's I don't know.
I agree with you. I just said I never thought of him, because I went on a big Stefanski whack last week. I completely agree with you. I think what he's doing is completely getting overlooked. No Richardson, you're rolling out there with Minshew, who sucks, and yes, great. They're down 14. That's okay, dude. We're getting 24.5 with Southern Utah, so we're good. No Jonathan Taylor, Pittman and Downs. It's basically it in terms of playmakers. and you're rolling out Minshew, who's garbage in my eyes. So I agree with you 100%. My takeaway too. Remember about 4 weeks ago, people were talking about how bad Jordan Love was, how Matt LaFleur needed to get fired. Now let's look. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Lions. They beat the Chiefs. And now they're minus 236 to make the playoffs. This is another good coaching job by Matt LaFleur. You got to give him credit. This team is young. They had some growing pains, but he stood with the script. You know what I mean? He didn't differ. He gave Young time to develop. Young made some big-time throws against that Chiefs defense, which has been playing pretty good. And the Packers defense knew what was coming. They were so well prepared for everything Mahomes and Reed were going to throw on them. It was night and day. You know what I mean? Like, they are just so well coached. I don't think people are seeing this. Oh yeah. And who are they missing? Their best offensive weapon during this run, Aaron Jones. They're doing this with no Aaron Jones. Every time around this year, I make a list of teams. I'm like, hey, you know what? This is going to be a team I like to get a future on moving into next year. I did that with the Browns last year. Pretty good where I'm at. I did it with the Falcons last year. Like the position I'm at. I'm doing it with the Packers right now. I don't know if it's going to be their over-under to make the playoffs to win the North, but you add Aaron Jones. You add another year of development with Jordan Love, Jalen Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Luke Musgrave. You get some help on the offensive line, help on the defensive line, add a DB in the draft. I think this team next year in the futures market is going to have a little bit of a value. And Reed, yes, I know you're a Chicago boy. I'm a Detroit boy. But I'm here to make money. I think in the future market next year, I'm going to be betting the Packers. And I think everyone watching this, you got to jot that down because there's going to be some value to having the Packers. Last year around this time, Jim was on the show. And right when the season over, and Jim said, let's lock in the Ravens at 25-1. I mean, that's a pretty good bet right now, man. You're seeing pretty good about Jim at 25-1. So I'm just saying, like, the Packers are going to have some value next year in the futures market, have it be over under, which we don't know yet, make the playoffs. This is just a team we need to remember going forward in the next year.
I agree. And I think a lot of their struggles early on was, like, they are young guys, like, right out of college, Dobbs, Watson, Jaden Reed, those are all first or second year players. Love, I know, he had the 3 years, this is his first year starting. I agree. I think it's definitely scary to see them go kind of on this run. The defense has, obviously been talented the past couple of years. So, yeah. And, they always have a little luck on their side too, but missed a little PI at the end of that Chiefs game. But, yeah, that would be discounting their performance also.
And Mr. December has never lost a game. Matt LaFleur in the month of December. Just pointing that out.
What about in January last year?
Yeah, we're talking about December.
Yeah.
And Bobby, yes, Tucker had Reed and Coleman, and the offense sucked. That was a Michigan State dig right there. Michigan State's offense was brutal last year with Jalen Reed and Coleman down at FSU. Now let's shift our attention over to the bets. Reed, you are the guest. Now, props for props is due. Reed got ahead of the curve. He locked in the Browns at +3 yesterday. That's the bet he sent me. Obviously, that bet has moved six points right now. The Browns are laying 3, so he's not going to give that one out. He is going to give another one out. First bet, my friend.
Yeah, first bet. We're going back to the roots here. Kansas City -2.5. They're coming off a loss. I always, kind of, those good quarterback coach combos off a loss seem to, and especially the good teams seem to really lock in. And I know the Bills are off a bye. I know they're in, Kansas City just played a close, tight game in Green Bay. I think something's up with Buffalo this year, obviously. And I know a lot of people like to throw it on Josh Allen that, he's got turnover problems. He's thrown interceptions. I think he's the only thing holding that team together. People like to say he leads the league in picks. He also leads the league in touchdowns. If you watch that Eagles game, it was in the defense's hands multiple times, and McDermott's defense couldn't get it done. McDermott took the ball out of Josh Allen's hands with 20 seconds left when they only needed a field goal. And they had 2 timeouts. I think, this team, you have Johnson out this week, the corner, Rat, the safety's out this week. Already have Milano and Tre'Davious White out all year. Von Miller with some legal problems earlier this week. That's, a distraction during the bye week. I think Josh Allen's the only thing holding this team together outside of Stephon Diggs. Kincaid's a nice rookie tight end, but outside of those 2 guys, like, who is making plays on this offense? The Shakir guys looked a little explosive at times, but I think I think Buffalo's defense is not great due to all the injuries. I think McDermott is slowly losing control of this team. They had to fire Dorsey mid-season. I think Kansas City's in a great spot here, -2.5 at home, awful loss, knowing, they can't really lose again if they want to try to host the AFC Championship again. So I got Kansas City here, -2.5.
Before we dive into that one, let me ask you this. Sports facts. Are you going to middle the Browns +3? Meaning, are you going to now take the Jaguars +3, or are you just going to sit on the Browns? What are you going to kind of do?
I will probably just sit on that one plus the 3 points. I think at home, Beathard having to go on there in a short week on that Browns defense, and you're getting 3 points already. I'll probably just sit on that.
I hate the Lakers chimes in legal problems.
I didn't want to I didn't want to misspeak. So legal problems. Yes.
Bobby Thompson down to 6. Sports facts. I'm going to be pissed if they win and I didn't bet the money line. I don't think Southern Utah is going to win at Utah, buddy. I think they can cover. I don't think they'll win. Dude. Let me ask you as a quarterback. Those that don't know, Reed played quarterback at the collegiate level. How long does it take for a new OC to come in at this point of the season and to change and install his concepts? Because his concepts are completely different than Dorsey's.
Yeah, I mean they're not running. Maybe they'll have, the way I would think about it is they would probably, Joe Brady's probably adding a little, especially because they're coming off a bye. He's probably adding a little flair, couple maybe one-word calls. But I think for the most part, you're running Dorsey. I think he's just, the play calling's changing. I don't think, necessarily the offense they're running is going to be the huge difference. And I thought Ken Dorsey got a bad rap, by the way. They had a top 5 offense, and he got fired.
So I look at it like this. I will say this. I think I'm a big Joe Brady guy. I think with Brady coming in, I thought the offense looked better. They got Cook more involved, which I think was key. They're moving Diggs around, a little bit more motion. It wasn't as pedestrian. They played with a little faster pace.
It's similar. It's similar. It's the play calling is going to change. Like Cook will get more involved. I think they're going to spread it around. I think Dorsey kind of resorted to just Josh Allen and shotgun and let him figure it out a little too much. And, that's kind of where turnovers go up and everything. But I don't think the whole offense isn't changing, I don't think, in 2 weeks.
What's the other comment I was going to make? I do think that the personality of Brady is going to be fitting the team a little bit more than Ken Dorsey.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I like what I saw. I like the play calling. I do agree with you. However, you mentioned the defensive players they lose. You're not losing those defensive players and then winning football games. And Dorsey just so happened to take the blunt of it. The game should be interesting. I didn't do anything in this game. I'm going to completely look back, and I'll be cheering you on. I hope we can get it there. My next bet, and I'm going back to the well. We got him last week down in Tampa. The Carolina Panthers plus the 5.5.
That's gross.
Dennis Allen is 23.8% ATS as a favorite. Are you ready for this? Since 2005, he is the sixth least profitable coach against the number as a favorite. Sixth least. Home favorites, as a home favorite, he takes up a little bit, 30.8% ATS. Now, we really don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Saints. Let's look at Carr's numbers. 32% ATS is a favorite, home favorite, 36.7%. Jameis Winston, 29.6% ATS is a favorite, home favorite is 26.3%. So you have a coach and QBs who have proven through a huge sample size they don't cover as favorites. The last couple of years, what has the Saints defense been known for? Stout against the run. That's not the case this year. They're 25th DVOA defending the run, allowing 125.5 rushing yards per game and allowing 165 yards the last 3 games. One of the things that stood out for me in the Panthers game was how much they were committed to the run. That was the most they rushed the ball all year. Chuba Hubbard had 25 carries, and I think they're going to lean on the rush game here. We also saw the Panthers offense take more chances downfield. What does that do? That pushes the linebackers back, is going to open up the run game. If you're a basketball player, think of it like this. You have a team that shoots threes. It draws people away from the paint, opens up the driving lanes. And we also saw more opportunity for my boy, Jonathan Mingo. I think Mingo is going to be in line for another huge game. Saints are 20th DVOA defending wide receiver twos. Divisional trends since 2005. Divisional road dogs, 650, 556, and 35. That's 54% against the number. Last 5 years, that takes up to 57% ATS. Last 5 years in the NFC South, road divisional dogs, 65% against the numbers. One more thing. Guess who's one of the worst teams in the red zone? The Saints.
Gotta be.
So,
Saints.
Yeah. So if the Saints are scoring threes and not scoring sevens, that's going to help it here. I absolutely love the Carolina Panthers plus the 5.5. Getting dirty down in Nolo, man. Getting dirty.
That's dirty, all right. Yeah.
So let me ask you this real quick. You're a coach.
Okay.
You're a young guy. If you had your choice right now of jobs that could potentially be open. Now, obviously, like you can't say the Chiefs. We'll say Chargers, Raiders, Panthers, Bears, Patriots, Commanders, Bucks, those 7. Where do the Panthers rank on your list? I mean, they have to be toward the bottom, no?
7.
Yeah.
No hesitation.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
Mark Davis isn't a great owner, and David Tepper blows him out of the water. I mean, the Bryce Young pick saying that was unanimous is probably a lie, and it was probably unanimous because no one wanted to get fired. Frank Reich not getting longer than Urban Meyer is insane to me. It just didn't make sense to fire him at that point in the year. I just think he's managing the team like a hedge fund, it seems. And the Panthers have made like 15 separate quarterback transactions since he's been the owner, and like none have worked out. I mean, you can talk about Bridgewater, Darnold, Mayfield. Drafting using a 3rd round pick on Matt Corral. I think, bringing Cam. I mean, I just think they haven't done really anything right. They had a solid, and Steve Wilkes had that team with some juice at the end of last year, and they just let him walk. So I wouldn't want to work for Tepper.
C-Spear22, Uncle Rico. Sorry about the Jags. Yeah, you know what? I was telling Reed about it. As soon as Iowa's finest, CJ Beathard came in, I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm going to bed. Friend of the show, Dave Weaver, sent me a text that just said, ouch. So at that point, I was like, dude, I'm done, man. Reed, next bet. And you know what?
I might.
It's going to be a sneaky game. I think this is going to be a game. Last week, now I'm going to say this, though. You say your speech. You say your thing about it. And then after you say yours, I'm going to add something because I gave out a bet on this last week. But go ahead. Where are you going, my friend?
I am going down to the Big D in Dallas. I think I'm gonna bite my tongue after this one. But I do think, the Cowboys, they don't show up in big spots a lot. Dak doesn't show up in big spots a lot. But I feel like once a year the Cowboys have a good win, and that's when people like really buy into them. And I think this is a game. I think they're at home. I know they played a tight game against Seattle. Defense was on the field for a while, which I have a feeling like is going to be coming up when you have your thing to say. But I just think there's something off with them. Hurts injury cannot be overlooked. He's clearly banged up a little. Goddard, he's been out recently. Offense hasn't been fantastic. He plans to play, but we'll have to see, what percentage he's at. CeeDee Lamb's been on an absolute tear recently. That Eagles secondary has been struggling. I don't know. I think Dallas kind of jumps on them. And their defense is good enough to keep Philly not, going nuclear on them. I think Dallas, minus 3.5 is a solid play here, especially at home against Philly. And I think Dallas smells a little blood in the water.
So my thing is this. Last week I gave out, I think it was like it was 2 weeks ago. It was plus 500 for the Cowboys to win the NFC East. So if you tailed that bet, this is an easy hedge opportunity because the Eagles are plus 160 on the money line. If you didn't tail the bet, look, man, as much as it pains me to say this, the most important thing Reed said and everything was the Jalen Hurts injury. Because hypothetically, let's say Hurts doesn't play. This is getting up to 6.
Or he gets banged up early.
Yeah, this is getting up to 6. You know what I mean? This is just going to balloon up. And right now, the line is priced that he is going to play. It's priced like he is going to play. If he's not going to play, this is going to balloon up. So, yeah, if you think that's the case, now's the time to hop on the Cowboys. This is another game. Like, look, I think, you're right. Cowboys have this one game where they just are like, oh, shit, this team's legit. But if they're playing in the college football playoffs because of their lack of competition this year, they probably get left out, right?
Yeah.
So, but no.
I heard this one. This is a good one. Okay, so right now in the AFC wild card, the Browns would get in over the Bills, but the Browns are on their 4th-string quarterback, so they should just put the Bills in because they still have Allen.
That's pretty funny. My next one, and Jesus Christ, dude. I'm noticing a trend, man, how you're going to like these Showtime games and I'm going to like these like dirt ball games, dude.
Well, I didn't love you had your dogs, and dogs haven't been great recently, so I've been kind of going more to home favorites.
Yeah, I mean, this has been one of a great season for people covering, for favorites covering, chalk covering, and everything. Most profitable season ever in terms of public. That's bets that are getting over 50%. Favorites last 3 weeks been insane. One of the better favorites for the whole year. My next bet, Raiders plus 2.5. This is actually ticked up to 3, kind of trying to surprise me a little bit. How are the Vikings laying points with Josh Dobbs as their quarterback?
No idea. I have no idea.
2-11 straight up in his career. What world are we living in? I know that everyone is trying to make a story about Josh Dobbs, but I have news for people. He's not that good. Josh Dobbs is not that good. There's a reason he's been in so many teams. But Eric, Justin Jefferson is coming back. What does that matter? That literally matters nothing to me. Reed, you can speak on this as a former quarterback. You have spots in the field immediately you just look to. And looking at an outside receiver is never what Dobbs has done. Anywhere Josh Dobbs has done, it's always the middle of the field to the slot to the tight end. He hardly ever throws to the outside. So Justin Jefferson coming back does nothing for me. Dobbs,
Yeah. Also,
go ahead.
I don't know when Jefferson started practicing. I know they haven't played a game together. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. I don't think it makes a huge difference in this game. You know, like his go-to guy. I don't know if that's just. I don't know if you can build that relationship in practice. You know, I guess
But I
they're
mean,
coming up.
like,
I know they're coming up a bye, but like, yeah, exactly what you're talking about. Like when he's looking to someone, he's probably going to be looking at Addison. Like I don't think the Jefferson thing is as big as maybe that number suggests it's going to be. The first thing I saw when I looked at the lines to make these picks here was Raiders +3. I saw you already had it, but yeah, it made no sense that Vikings are laying this many points on the road to a team off a bye.
it just makes zero sense. It makes zero sense at all. And I mean, like in high school, if your first like you always threw the X when you went to college for your time, however long you started in high school, like 2-3 years, you would always look to the X. You know what I mean? When you're in college, just because for 2 years that was the thing, and you continued that through your collegiate career. Dobbs struggles with pressure in his face. Cosby is going to make his life hell. Also, I think the Raiders are going to lean on the run. The Vikings just allowed 118 yards to the Bears. I think the Raiders will have similar success running the ball. This is going to set up the passing game for the Raiders. I don't trust the Vikings DBs to stop Devontae Adams. Plus, I can't live in a world where Dobbs is a favorite on the road and I don't fade him. Give me the Raiders plus the 2.5. Real quick before your last bet, we have a question from C-Spirit22. Sorry if I missed this, but what about our boy Vrabel at plus 13.5? So this is my thing. I need to know all the Titans injuries just because they are really bad against the pass. I know it's at 13.5, 13 some bucks. This gets to 14, I'll probably get involved in it. That's going to be my buy-in at some point. I mean, it's just what Vrabel does, man. It's just what Vrabel does. An ugly game, he's going to dirty it up. He's going to win it. They'll lean on that running game. Dolphins can be ran on. So I'll be on it, but I want to get that 14 if that answers the question. How about you? Are you going to be invested in that game?
I don't think so. I watched Miami in person last week, and they are fast, and I don't know. I'll just probably stay away.
How was that? How was the Commander Stadium?
Bad. No service.
No cell phone service?
No service. I didn't. I had a couple crucial fantasy games as well, and had no idea what happened until I walked out of the stadium.
Last bet, my friend. Where are you going?
All right. This is probably my favorite one. You've got it right there. But I mean, what if I could tell you that you're getting one of the top defenses in the league off a bye, at home, West Coast team traveling east in the noon slate, and you have who last week, outside of the last 4 minutes of that game, were in an absolute dogfight with the Cleveland Browns, who's one of the most physical defenses and best defenses in the league. I've seen this game before, by the way. I saw it in week 7 against Detroit. I saw it in week 9 against Seattle. It's Baltimore laying 4 to 7 points against a good NFC team that they're just going to pound. Lamar's 16-1 against the NFC. I think this game gets ugly quick. I just think they're going to jump all over the Rams. This is a really tough spot for them. I know they've won 3 in a row, but I don't know. I'm going to struggle to see the Rams putting up a bunch of points on the Ravens. And sometimes I don't like the Ravens because they'll like mess around at the end of the games, like at the Chargers. But at home in that noon game when they're not, I think they're going to pummel the Rams. I think it's a bad spot for the Rams, and I think it's a great spot for the Ravens off bye.
Yeah, I hope. I just want to say thank you to Zay Flowers for pointlessly running in that touchdown and costing me my plus 3.5 with the Chargers. Thank you, Zay. No, like Stafford struggles with pressure. You know, if they can get home with it against them, I can totally see this. Are the Rams going to be able to stop this rushing attack? Lamar, a week without Andrews, more comfortable with Likely. I can see this game getting out of hand and getting out of hand fast. So I'm not one to lay big numbers, but I kind of like it. I kind of like where your head is with this one. My last one, Reed, and I know you're gonna like this one, buddy.
Let's go.
Chicago Bears
against your own guys,
dude. Reed, I'm in this to make money. I don't care. My collegiate stuff, I would rather make money than my team win. That's just the way I am, man. Give me my money. I will be a die-hard Lions fan for my whole life. My goal is for them to make it to the Super Bowl one year, and Eminem is rapping "Lose Yourself," and Jared Goff, Hayden Hooker, whoever their goddamn quarterback is, leading them out. I will cry as a grown man. But in this situation, dude, I'm taking your Bears, dude. I'm taking your Bears here plus the 3.5. Goff as a favorite outdoors on the road, 43.8% ATS. Since week 8 per EPA, Lions have the worst defense in the NFL. The worst
it's not good
in the NFL. And it goes back to my thing. I really don't think people understand how messed up, how the Lions totally messed up this draft. Jahmyr Gibbs, great player. Pointless pick.
Why? In the first
You already
round.
had him in DeAndre Swift. You could have drafted Jalen Carter. Why didn't you put Carter and you put Hayden Hutchinson up there? You freaking got something. And you got something great for many, many years.
And you have it now, too. You have it now. Yeah. Like Carter's good right now. Hutchinson he's stud right now, but he's the only
It's just insane how much they blew this draft. The Bears shredded the Lions defense, rushing for 183 yards, 4 yards per kept. They kept the Lions on the field for 71 plays. Plus, we know the Lions like to run the ball. When I looked this up, Reed, this completely blew my mind. The Bears are only allowing 79 rushing yards per game. That's the best in the NFL. That is the best in the NFL. And at home, they're only allowing 63.4 rushing yards per game on the ground. The Lions can't run the ball. That's going to put more pressure on Goff to make throws. Lions have injuries on the offensive line. Not having Jonah Jackson there is completely destroying the left side of the line. Plus, other people, Frank, the Tank got hurt. They're just banged up, and they don't have the depth on the line to create those running lanes. With the addition of Sweat, the defensive line for the Bears is playing lights out. Oh, yeah. Reed, you live in the city. Have you seen this weather on Sunday? Windy, snow, rainy, just an awful looking day. When it's like that and that weather is that bad, it's going to favor the rushing game of the Chicago Bears when you have the mobile quarterback. I'm on the Bears here, plus the 3.5, and it breaks my living heart.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Yeah.
So, I guess I don't know if it's possible because I guess they're probably too far behind. But if you think the Bears are live here at all, here's my thought process. If you think the Bears are live here at all, is the Packers to win the North at all possible? Because have you seen their schedule remaining?
Packers the easiest schedule remaining.
Yeah. I know they lost, and they split with Detroit. I don't know. Do you think it's possible they win the North?
What are you getting?
I'd have to look. I just thought of that.
I mean, that's not a bad idea. They do have one of the easiest schedules remaining. They could definitely make a run on it. So yeah, I definitely like that thought process there. I don't know. Let me look on DraftKings real quick.
Probably won't. I probably won't get invested in it, but I don't know. Thought came to my mind.
The only winning team, the Vikings, because I was actually looking at this, Vikings are the only winning team with a winning record that the Patriots have left on their schedule. So that would
The Packers.
That the Packers do. Reed, I kind of like where your head is here, man. So futures, division win. They're 12-1. Packers are 12-1 to win.
I don't know. And then after this week, the Lions are at home against the Broncos. I don't think that's a gimme. Then you're at Minnesota, at Dallas, home Minnesota.
You know what, Reed? Let's do it. Let's do it, Reed. Right now, we are locking in the the Packers plus 12 to win the NFC North. I like that bet a lot. Reed, I'd like to thank you for coming on. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, just the handle right here, my Twitter. I'll typically just NFL on there. So
NFL in there once every 2 months, right?
Yeah, basically. Whenever. Yeah.
Make sure you give my boy Reed a follow. We'll definitely get his Twitter game up a little bit. Make sure to check us out next week. O'Kane is going to be our special guest. Make sure to check that out. Reed, thanks for stopping by. Let's make some money. Let's cash some tickets. Until next week, boys and girls.